Hello and welcome to Unclogged, the Zoom Drain podcast. Today I'm joined by Adrian Rodriguez, founder of Nevermiss.ai. Nevermiss.ai is an AI platform built specifically for home service businesses, helping companies capture every opportunity with AI-powered voice and messaging agents. From answering calls and engaging digital leads to scheduling appointments, filtering spam, and integrating with ServiceTitan, Nevermiss.ai is designed to help businesses never miss another customer. In this episode, we discuss how AI is transforming customer communication, the evolution of Nevermiss.ai from Snap Pick Fix, and how these new innovations driven by real franchise feedback are helping home service companies improve responsiveness, increase bookings, and grow more efficiently. Let's get flowing. Adrian, welcome. I know you're a familiar face for a lot of our Zoom Drain franchise owners and their teams. We loved having you at Vortex last year. I know you've hosted multiple webinars for our system, and you have a handful of franchise owners working with you today. But for those of you who don't know anything about you, can you just kind of bring us up to speed quickly on your journey in this space, the brand journey as well? You know, we met you as the founder of Snap Pick Fix, which the name really doesn't match up with the services you provide to us. And I know that you've been going through a rebrand, and I want you to talk about the rebrand, why that's important, and kind of what people should expect from you and your team moving forward.
Yeah, that's right, Patrick. So thanks for having me on here. And the new name, kind of big reveal, is Nevermiss.ai. So at the beginning, the process would start off with, hey, a Thumbtack lead would come in, or an Angie lead would come in, or a phone call would come in, and we would say, hey, thanks for reaching out. Can you provide a picture of what's going on in this scenario? Let me see a picture of what's going on. And then from there, we could figure out, okay, this is what it is, right? It needs a drain repair, or there's a clog here, or something's dripping over here, or something's broken, right? Just based on, is it a picture of a sink? Is it a picture of a toilet? Is it a picture of their yard? And so we had the models that would identify those specific things and extract that information out of the image, but we weren't getting that many images. And so when we would go back to our customers at the end of the month, at the end of a couple months, at the end of the quarter, they would say, hey, we didn't get that many pictures. And then we would point and say, yeah, but these are all the customers we interacted with. And we actually ran all these jobs, and all these things got on the schedule, and you made some money on all these different scenarios. They just didn't provide a picture, but we still had that conversation with them, and it still turned into revenue. And so we kind of leaned in more on the engagement and the conversational side of it, and qualifying the customer, filtering out the spam, whether or not a picture was provided. We'll still take pictures, and we'll still handle those pictures, but a picture isn't always available.
Gotcha. Okay, so today, your Snap Pick Fix, you're in the process of rebranding, right? So walk me through the new name, and then really what are the services that your team is focused on providing to other home service contractors?
Yeah, so the new name is Nevermiss.ai, and it's very simple. We make sure you never miss a lead, never miss a call, never miss a customer. We found ourselves in a lot of our conversations saying, you never miss, you never miss, you never miss. And so few years ago, when I got the domain, Nevermiss.ai was still available. It was early days of AI. And so that's the rebrand. And as far as the services that we provide, it's still the chat, texting back and forth, conversation over text message, as well as now AI voice, inbound and outbound voice. So if a call comes in, rather than recording a voicemail and doing AI behind the scenes on that voicemail and sending a text message, we could actually answer that call live, qualify the customer, figure out if they're a homeowner or a renter, figure out if it's an emergency, figure out if it's something that we can schedule, as well as making outbound calls. So when an Angie, Thumbtack, Google lead comes in, we can call that person in addition to text messaging and other options to get out to them. We can make that phone call and speak to them live and put them on the schedule, right? If they have some questions about, is there a trip fee? Am I calling the right location? Is it in my zip code? We can answer all those questions. And then if it fits, put them directly into ServiceTitan.
So a lead comes in from any of the major lead aggregator sites, Angie, Thumbtack, and in our case, we're ServiceTitan customers. So those leads are typically integrated with ServiceTitan. It hits the bookings tab within ServiceTitan. That customer instantly receives a text message from your AI with an online booking link. And then they have the opportunity to book the job there, or they can interact, they can go back and forth. And then your team notifies the franchise owner or the contractor, right? That, hey, this text message came back, they're interested, so they could get flagged? Or do you have AI powering the conversation A to Z?
Yeah, so either case. So if there is a human that can answer that and take care of that, they can jump in and they can handle that conversation. So if they want a notification and they want to be the one messaging with the customer, they could do that. So we'll still provide that speed to lead, and then they can answer. And on a night and weekend, if no one's available, we can actually carry on that conversation and follow the script and follow the scheduling process to qualify the customer and put them into ServiceTitan. So it really depends on how the business wants to run and how that location wants to be operated. So it can be kind of a co-pilot operation where they're assisting someone that's in the office. Maybe it's a VA, maybe it's an office manager, maybe it's the owner themselves, or it could be kind of an autopilot option where you flip the switch and the AI is carrying on those conversations.
Gotcha. So it can be a hybrid model too, depending on their needs, their schedule. They could utilize kind of both variations.
Exactly. Yeah. So based on the schedule, based on time of day. Yep.
Yeah, see, that's what I've always appreciated working with you and your teams, just the flexibility. And when there is a need, we give you feedback. And typically some of these larger organizations, it takes them weeks, if not months, to get back to you with a solution. And in many cases with you, it's, a few days or a week later. It's like, hey, we took that feedback and implemented it, which is awesome. And it's not very common, but to be able to meet the unique needs of each business, even a business that's part of a franchise system where, yeah, we have a model in place, but the needs of the individual operators vary, and there has to be some flexibility in the options, which you're always willing to provide. So thank you for that. I do want to add then the other piece you mentioned, the agents. I think the AI voice agent's pretty self-explanatory. A call comes in, they can take the call, but you had mentioned outbound calling. So going back to that scenario where a lead comes in from Angie or Thumbtack, it hits the bookings integration on ServiceTitan. Your technology is able to automatically generate an outbound call to that incoming lead to engage with them, and it's AI on the other end reaching out to them?
That's right. So we'll make a call to that person and say, hey, we got your Angie request. Do you have any questions? What can we help you with? Can we get this booked? Right. And sometimes they might be asking questions about pricing information, or they might be wondering about services that are offered. And sometimes they're ready to go. It's an emergency. They need the truck to get rolled out to their house. And so we can go ahead and grab all that information that's needed and put that into ServiceTitan, get it on the schedule, and then notify the team that, hey, this is in ServiceTitan. Here's all their information that we verified. Go ahead and get out there to take care of it. And it's all AI driven. It follows the script. It'll be as friendly as you want it to be, as empathetic as you want it to be, and just kind of get that important piece of information that might not always be coming from the digital lead aggregator, right? A lot of times when the information comes in, you might have a description, you might have a name and a phone number, but you don't know, like, are they the landlord? Are they the resident? Are they the homeowner? Is someone going to be home, right? Is it inside and you need to be there to do the service? Is someone going to be able to pay for this once the job is done? All those kind of things happen during the qualification process and during that conversation after the lead comes in. And that's kind of what the AI agent can do, part of what it can do.
That's outstanding. What overall, you don't have to give me specific examples, but what is the financial impact? We'll hear from a lot of business owners, and results vary region by region, but this platform doesn't work, that lead aggregator doesn't work, they're a bunch of tire kickers, I'm not seeing a great ROI. How does your product impact that and almost elevate the performance of those individual lead aggregators?
Yeah, I think it starts with not having a leaky bucket, right? When we make assertions like these leads aren't any good, these leads don't convert, that may be accurate, but you have to make sure that you're looking at all the leads, right? And you're looking at the timeliness of getting back to that lead, right? If a lead comes in on a Saturday night, you don't get back to them until Monday morning and it doesn't convert, there's a lot of factors that went into that. So you have to make sure that you don't have a leaky bucket and you're not missing out on these leads, as well as having a consistent process whenever a lead does come in. And that's where AI and technology can help, because you have a consistent process. Every time a lead comes in, you do this, 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 and this. You've asked these questions, you look for this information, and you follow this process that ultimately can lead it to go to ServiceTitan, or it could disqualify the customer, right? And once you have that data and that consistent process, then you can start to make some of those assertions. As far as financial impact, there's a couple different ways to look at it. Every lead that comes in may not convert to revenue, right? So there's the estimate, and you want to make sure that the lead is at least giving you a shot to get revenue. So you could have some open estimates that result from these leads that go out. And then some of those open estimates, may convert, may not convert, based on the different lead aggregators. But what we're seeing is across the different locations, we're like within 30 days, we're seeing like $900 to $19,000 in sold estimates that went through the system. And then in unsold estimates, we're seeing $3,000 to $27,000 in unsold estimates that went in, right? And those unsold estimates, since we're looking at a 30-day gap, could be that maybe it's just not time for those to convert, right? Maybe there's a longer sales cycle. Maybe it was an emergency service. Maybe it's a water heater replacement they're waiting for financing or something like that to be able to take care of. Maybe they're these bigger ticket items. But our solution looks for a 10x return based on the initial investment that you make for Nevermiss.ai. We look to 10x that amount of money. And there's obviously lead costs and other things that go into it. But that's kind of how we look at it. And we want to make sure that every customer and everyone that we're working with has a clear return on investment.
I think it's important for people to remember that Nevermiss.ai is not a lead generator. You're elevating the performance of those other lead generation sources that you're already paying for. And like you said, I think when you were talking about the unsold estimates, I think what you're trying to get across is Nevermiss.ai is giving you more at bats. And it is up to your team, our teams, to ultimately close the deal. You have to get out there and sell. But if you're not getting back to the lead fast enough to book the appointment, then you don't even get the chance to take a swing, right? And that's really the name of the game with speed to lead. So I love it. I think it's so critical. We've seen it internally with Zoom Drain, and there are other platforms out there, right, for speed to lead, and we have a variety of vendors being used throughout Zoom Drain. And I would say anybody that uses any speed to lead platform sees an improvement overall in the ROI when it comes to the various lead aggregators. So it's kind of a no-brainer today. If you're not investing in speed to lead, your competitors are, and customers are going to ultimately, they're going to choose the first company that gets back to them.
That's right. Yeah. Kind of as the business was being built, right? We looked at those statistics of like, hey, people, you're 3 times more likely if you respond to within a minute. 7 out of 8 people aren't leaving voicemails. 78% of people are going with the first customer to the first business to respond, right? We saw those statistics, and then we've seen it play out with our customers and with the leads that we're working with. Like in some cases, we take an Angie's or a Thumbtack or a GLSA, someone from like a 20 to 30% appointment and conversion rate and estimate rate to like 80% engagement rate and response rate just by responding to them quickly, right? Because especially in emergency services, like they're Googling it, they're out there putting their information, trying to take care of something immediately. As soon as they submit that information, whether it's on the Zoom Dream website or through a lead aggregator website that's funneling into ServiceTitan as a booking, if you get back to them quickly, like it's top of mind. They just filled out this form and you're potentially there to solve their problem. You're kind of the first one that has the opportunity to help them solve that problem. And so we definitely see the speed to lead converting. And then the voice is another channel to be able to carry on that conversation. So instead of just email or just voicemail, now you can actually have a phone call reach out to them as well.
If anybody watching this at home wants to learn more, you may have just sold them. What's the easiest way for them to contact you?
Yeah, so Nevermiss.ai is the website, and you can go ahead and set up an agent directly from that website. You can set up a demo if you want to have a conversation about it, as well as emailing me at adrian@nevermiss.ai. We can go ahead and put something on the calendar. But yeah, any of the Zoom Drain franchisees, you'll see me at the conferences. Feel free to reach out, and we'll definitely get something up and get an agent set up for them.
Cool. Awesome. I want to make sure we got that plug in there. Adrian, there's growing talk about people craving authenticity and feeling fatigued by AI. And we've had multiple guests on the show talk about it, whether it's video production, branding, graphic design. People want real content. A lot of companies are hitting the easy button, utilizing AI platforms and services, but now they're building a disconnection between them and their audience. In your experience, do customers accept AI in critical home service emergencies? And how do we maintain trust while using tools like virtual AI agents?
Yeah, AI is a tool, and it's not a human replacement. It will never get to that point, but it is a tool and it is available today, and we need to start seeing how it can be incorporated into the process. There's nothing like a handwritten note, but we're not writing handwritten invoices, right? There's a time and a place for the human connection, and that is at the house, or providing empathy, or having a conversation and talking about experiences and selling the value of that location's expertise and experiences in that area. AI has no experiences. It will not talk about its kids. It will not talk about what it likes to do and its hobbies, right? But it's very good at running people through a process and making sure that the email address is captured properly, that you verify the zip code is inside the territory, that the homeowner is going to be there when the technician gets there. Everything else is a human interaction and should be done by humans, but AI helps to make that more efficient, and it is involved in the process to make that a smoother transition. And typically it's when someone isn't available. So if you're not able to answer the phone and the option is it's going to a voicemail, let AI handle that and at least attempt to convert that conversation. If you want to run through the consistent qualification process, have AI run that process. And we're seeing that as long as people don't feel like they're being put down an AI path when they don't want to. So if they want to speak to someone, make sure that the AI has a capability to be able to transfer that call to someone in the office and answer a question or carry on that conversation. So as long as they have options, then it seems to be well received. And we're seeing hangups go down. We're seeing conversion rates go up. We've had some people say like, hey, tell that AI they did a very good job, right? When later on, days later, they speak to someone, they're like, did I just talk to AI? Tell them he did a good job. So
That's funny.
we're hearing some funny stories like that. But we're not there yet, right? I think we're in the very early days of that process. We're going to see that evolution carry on over time. But now's the time to be incorporating it into the processes while you're getting you're kind of your toes wet with the process, so that as it continues to grow and continues to get incorporated and become ubiquitous in the industry, you've already had that experience and it's incorporated into your processes.
So earlier I wrote down the word empathy. You had used it. And I hear you about the efficiencies that AI voice agents can create and how it is a tool and it can be a connector and it's a great backup. You know, if you have the ability to go human first and then have the AI voice agent available as a substitute, 100% I hear that it's a better experience than missing a call or sending somebody to a voicemail. How are you balancing the need, the desire for empathy? Because I'll tell you, for Zoom Drain, We put the customer experience first, and our whole approach to this is we want customers to know when they're having a drain or sewer emergency and they go to our website or they call a Zoom Drain location nationwide, we want them to know that they came to the right place. We want them to feel instant relief. And that can't wait until a technician shows up at their house. That empathy comes through by the content on the website, the language that we use, the scripts that the call takers follow. When somebody states the problem they're having, it's those little touches, hey, I'm so sorry you're going through that. We'll get you taken care of. You called the right place. You're in good hands. We want people to feel that. We want them to relax, and it builds trust, right? And that's half the battle. And that happens during the first interaction, wherever that interaction may take place. So I hear you as far as AI being very good at pushing people through a process. How are you implementing and creating that connection and showing empathy for people in stressful situations through AI?
Yeah, and it is AI, right? So I think making sure that you're not faking a human connection with technology is key. People don't want to be tricked into thinking that they're talking to a human, and having the AI help that person that is calling with a problem, like, get to the solution that they're seeking as fast as possible, and reassuring them that they may be talking to AI, but that's going to solve the problem that they're dealing with as quickly as possible and get them to a solution, right? They don't want to hang up and be like, that was a great experience. It's not going to solve my problem, but it was a fun conversation, right? They need to get their problem solved. They're in need of help, and the process needs to get them to the solution to that as fast as possible and connect them to someone that will resolve that problem as fast as possible. And so that's kind of the core of the AI, and really the sales process, figuring out where it fits into that intake process, and where you need a human touch, kind of put that human touch front and center, and where technology can help, have technology do the repetitive process.
What I like about your capabilities are many things, but we listened to a call recording, and I agree. You do not want to trick the customer into thinking it's a human experience, but at the same time, I don't want them to feel that it's any different. I don't want them to go into it with a negative attitude. One, I like that we state that it's an AI voice agent right out of the gate, so there's no confusion. It doesn't seem like we're trying to pull one over on them. And then I'd listened to a call recording that you had submitted to me. It was a Zoom Drain franchise that's utilizing Nevermiss.ai, and it was excellent. But at one point, so the customer's dealing with a clogged toilet, and I think the service was confirmed, and the AI agent was so upbeat and so happy. It's like, great, thank you. We'll see you soon. And it was like this person on the other end, you could tell, was just going through hell with this clogged toilet, and kids are screaming in the background. This person just wants to get this, get this show on the road, get this problem fixed. And I'd given you that feedback, and it was like instantly I heard you typing on the other end of the phone, and we ran some test calls. And you were able to control the tone and how the AI agent was responding. So while I agree we don't want to try to trick a customer into thinking they're talking to a human, and that the human connection can't 100% be replicated, I still think there's an opportunity for people to feel better about the conversation. And because you don't want the AI to be tone deaf, because that's even more frustrating, I think. So talk to me, like, how do you work with your customers on making sure that the agent is utilizing the right tone and saying the right things beyond just the procedural parts of it? Hey, if they say this, forward them here or ask them this question, but how do you work with them to address kind of the voice of the brand and what they want their customers to feel and experience?
Yeah. So aside from the models just determining the right words to say, we're also determining what kind of emotion to use when delivering those words, right? And so, yeah, am I happy? Am I sad? Am I comforting when they're describing the problem, right? Maybe you're excited when the call comes in, but as you hear about the situation, you become a little bit more comforting and a little bit more responsive to that information as it comes across. Those are all things that we can tune in the system as calls come in, and we kind of update. We've got the a basic template and an agent that gets rolled across that knows this is the brand voice, but then we can further fine tune all of those little scenarios as we get calls coming through and as we hear different scenarios.
So fascinating, and I've seen it firsthand, and it's real and it works. You had mentioned about, hey, the goal is getting this person through the process, getting them service scheduled that's going to help them through their problem. And if you provide a very fun experience, but we don't address their need, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't need to be fun. Our co-founder, Ellen Rohr, who many people watching this are probably familiar with Ellen, she said something recently about along the lines of being upfront with the customer that you're talking to an AI bot. I think she said something like, you can make it fun to kind of break the ice a little bit, de-escalate the situation. It was something along the lines of, hey, I'm an AI voice agent, but give me a chance. You're going to have a great experience. It's something really light like that. So people know up front, like, okay, like, all right, I'll give you a chance. I thought that was an interesting approach, instead of trying to trick somebody and thinking that it's human. And it kind of maybe helps to erase the stigma that may come with AI voice agents.
Yeah, absolutely. That initial greeting, we can update it and tweak it to kind of anything that location wants, and anything that the brand wants. So we definitely have a lot of flexibility on how we do that. Whether you want to, crack a joke or start the conversation a certain way, it's your agent, and you have the flexibility to set the script and set that tone, uh, and customize it. So we have kind of a template for every location that goes out, and then we localize it to each particular location. So certain locations may provide certain services, certain locations have different territories and zip codes that they serve. And so each agent is localized for that particular location, but they all know the Zoom Drain process and SOPs and scripts.
Right. Are any of your clients, inside or outside of Zoom Drain, are any of them utilizing humor to try to break the ice and improve that experience? Have you had anybody test anything like that out yet?
So I have it running on my personal cell phone before it makes any hot transfers or anything and connects the call to me. I have it say a dad joke before transferring the call out. I like it, but obviously I like the dad jokes myself. Um, but yeah, it's the thing that we like to focus on is like, hey, I'm an AI and I'm gonna help make this as smooth as possible and take care of this as fast as possible and get you to where you need to be, right? Let's not spend a lot of time like chit-chatting, like tell me what's going on and I'm gonna figure out if this is something I could put into the CRM, if we need to get it transferred. As long as you're efficient, people don't want to spend 10 minutes repeating themselves over and over and over again, right? If you don't want to give me your email address, that's fine. We're going to move on. If I need that email address to create a record somewhere, I'm going to say, hey, I need this or I can't move forward. But we're not going to ask questions just for the sake of answering, of getting answers and asking questions over and over again. We're going to try to move that conversation along. And if that involves saying a dad joke or incorporating humor into it, like, let's do it, whatever works.
So now for the really hard-hitting question, is it telling the same pre-programmed dad joke every time, or is it coming up with a new one for every call?
It's a new one. It's all, I think that model in particular, I think we're using OpenAI. And so it's a ChatGPT generated dad joke that it comes up with on the fly. So yeah.
Hilarious. All right, I'm gonna have to call you directly. Don't answer. I want to hear one of the dad jokes it tells me.
I'll never answer any more of your calls, Patrick. Sorry for answering.
I've never been so excited to hear somebody say that to me. So, Adrian, we talked already about how the general public, we believe, is responding to AI voice agents and that experience overall. About a month ago, I was watching the news and I saw a story, and I don't remember the university, but it was a graduation ceremony for a college. And I believe the speaker, the keynote speaker, commencement speaker, was a C-level executive from one of these big AI companies. And the students booed the person. I mean, it was incredible. And I've been seeing and hearing and reading more and more about younger generations, especially Gen Z, younger Gen Z. They're surprisingly anti-AI. And typically you see younger generations embracing technology. And now I'm even seeing it in the workplace, where the older generations who are still working, especially boomers, they love AI. They almost use it too much. So you have on one end of the spectrum a generation who loves AI. They're using it for everything. On the other end, you have people entering the workforce who seem to be anti-AI. I'm not saying they're not using it, but they don't seem to be as receptive to it overall, and they're definitely more critical of it and how other people use it. And I'm right in the middle, right? I'm probably a younger millennial. I love AI, but I know it's a tool, and I know there's a time and a place for it, and I know that human connections are important. And but I think it's incredible, and it's the future. It's not going anywhere, and people who don't learn how to use it and embrace it they're going to be the ones who are obsolete. But I don't fear AI. I don't think it's going to replace me. You and I talked about this over dinner a bit, and you had a very interesting perspective on why the younger generation is so seemingly anti-AI.
So if I was graduating college right now and there weren't job opportunities because companies weren't hiring because they're using AI instead, or if I was early career and getting laid off because of AI in the workplace, I'd be anti-AI too. Uh, I think we're seeing a group of people that kind of went through college, maybe did a lot of remote learning during COVID, kind of came out of that. Um, Maybe a traditional kind of computer science curriculum at a four-year university wasn't talking about Codex and Claude Code and those kind of technologies, right? So you went through a four-year program learning like what the generation before them learned or what the prior curriculum was, because you this is all relatively new within the last few years. Like machine learning and large language models have been around for a while, but they were in the lab. It wasn't until folks really started adopting it like over the last few years. And even last time we spoke during the last Vortex conference, right? OpenAI was kind of in the lead. That technology was the winner. And now you look at Anthropic and what they've been able to do, and it's just changing so fast that it's difficult to keep up with. And so for someone coming out of school, right, being hesitant to, as humans, being hesitant to change, I think it's difficult to compete with that. But I think the solution is kind of what got them through school and education, right? It's curiosity and continuous improvement and learning, right? If you're curious about the technology, whether the technology works out or not, you're constantly learning. You're making yourself better, improving. It's a great time to buy a franchise. If some senior people were laid off, maybe they're looking for a business opportunity, an opportunity to work for themselves. Might be a good opportunity to buy a franchise themselves. But for some of those early career uh, folks, it's good to continue to learn and kind of sharpen the tools in their toolbox and see where they can fit into this new technology ecosystem. Jobs will be changing. So the traditional jobs that we had might be going away, but there's still technology jobs. We still rely heavily on developers within the team. They're just using AI tools in addition to what they've traditionally done.
So these universities, basically what I'm hearing is the curriculum couldn't keep up with the pace that AI was being developed and enhancing. I can understand why people are feeling spiteful. Time, money, energy put into learning a craft, learning a trade, basically, and you wake up one day and it's been not 100% replaced. You mentioned you still have developers on your team, but you probably don't need as many of them as you did 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You probably would have needed a much larger team to do what you're doing today. Is that right?
So they're doing different things. I mean, we're moving so quickly and we're rolling things out so quickly that might not be applicable, because we're just saying, hey, if we can increase productivity by 10x, then we're just going to do 10x as much, and we'll just keep growing and delivering more. But to your earlier point, yeah, if you spent 4 years learning syntax and how to structure a file, AI can do that within a couple seconds. If you just describe what you're trying to build, it can generate that code for you. But you still need to understand what's going on behind the scenes, and you still need to understand to make sure that what was created isn't just AI slop, right? If how to test it, the proper way to roll it out, the proper way to deploy it. So that part is still key. So you still have to know how to learn, and you still have to understand that process of it. But just the specific task that you're completing might change from 4 years ago to today.
Interesting. Well, you talked about your team. If you're 10xing productivity, you're going to do 10 times more, and that leads me to my next question. What's next for your team, without giving away any secrets? Like, what are you most excited about for Nevermiss.ai?
Yeah, so I think, we're still very early in the AI journey within home services. So we're continuing to work within franchise systems, continuing to work within the home services space. I'm really excited to continue to refine the handoff between human and AI, right? If it's 100% AI, we've got that covered. If it's 100% human, we've got that covered. But that interaction between the two of them, when to hand off, when to provide the human touch, when to have AI add a little bit of friction, and when to completely remove all the friction, right? That's where it gets really interesting. So I'm excited to continue to see how we add features and functions along that, whether it's hot transfer, whether it's integrating with different knowledge bases and data sources to know when to add that. Kind of that goes along with the kind of the emotion and the call flow. And then beyond that, I think we're going to see like more agent to agent communication. So whereas now you might go to ChatGPT and it'll, tell you how to fix something, and it gives you a list of 10 things to do to try to unclog something. I think you're going to start seeing it say, hey, do you want me just to go ahead and book the closest Zoom Drain franchisee for you? And so it will reach out to another agent, and that will book something in ServiceTitan and dispatch a truck. So we're going to see more of that agent communication, where folks will be going to one agent and that agent will be talking behind the scenes to another agent. So I see that in the years to come. I think we'll see it in e-com. We'll see it in the home services space, where, it's really just what's availability look like, right? And we've got tools that can grab all that information. And so these agents can just talk to each other.
That's incredible. It's all of the things we saw in movies growing up, it's coming true, except for the flying cars. We're halfway through 2026, and we still don't have flying cars, damn it.
I know. I'm bummed out about that. I mean, we grew up watching like Back to the Future and stuff like that. What happened?
By now. Yeah. I mean, we basically have Jarvis, though. Jarvis is around. Kit from Knight Rider is basically real today with AI. So maybe that's the next step, flying cars. And you have no plans, no intentions of creating a humanoid drain or sewer technician, right? We don't have to worry about Nevermiss.ai putting robots out in the field.
Absolutely not. That's not the direction we are heading in right now. We want to make sure that the humans continue to provide the human touch and do what they're best at. And we're just going to be a tool like early days of email and websites, right? It's another tool to help folks make more money
Yeah.
and be more productive and efficient.
I love that. Well, you mentioned earlier for some people who may find themselves looking for new opportunities because of the emergence of AI, you said, hey, maybe you want to consider a franchise. And since you're not going to put robotic drain technicians out there anytime soon, I don't think anybody is. We're an industry that's embracing AI and leveraging it as a tool, but there's always going to be a need for drain and sewer services. As long as people have to eat, what comes after that. And there's a need for drains and sewers. There's a need for technicians. So visit zoomdrainfranchise.com if you're watching this and you're interested in exploring franchise opportunities. Last thing I want to ask you before we wrap up, since we're talking about the franchise world, I know that you recently went to a franchise mastermind retreat in Utah. You mentioned you had franchise leaders in all different stages of their careers, some a little more green, some have been doing this for decades. I know it's one of those things, if you want to reap the benefits, you got to be there. But any kind of emerging trends you think that somebody who's watching this, whether they're a franchisee or a franchisor, maybe they feel like they're alone in something or there's a challenge that they may believe is unique to their brand? Like, what were the emerging themes that might help other people in this world watching at home today?
Yeah, so I think the emerging theme and kind of a common thread across the entire conference was about building trust and kind of that human connection, right? Whether that's franchise brand to customers or franchisor to franchisee or supplier to the different brands and the different folks that are out there. That is a very human connection and a very human experience that AI is not going to replace, right? Going out to a conference in Utah and going on a hike with someone or riding an ATV with someone or sitting around in a mastermind session and just talking about your challenges and your experiences, not, this is what I see on Reddit or this is what Google recommended, but like, this is what I experienced when I was starting a brand, or this is what I experienced when I opened my business. This is how I got to my first $1 million. This is how I got to 10 million. This is how we got to 100 franchise units. Those are experiences, and they're not just like words on a page or information that AI can push out there, right? AI can give you a great plan and it can give you a bunch of information, but AI has never done that before. It has never experienced that. And so when you go to a conference, you're surrounded by people that have done it, have been there, have done that, have done it in different industries. And so, yeah, check out the Service Franchise Summit. Hopefully we'll see you out there next year. And it was a great experience, great opportunity to be out there.
Adrian, I appreciate you sharing your experience about the Franchise Mastermind Retreat. Yes, I hope to be there next year. Also, sounds like a great opportunity. Glad you got a lot out of it. I appreciate your dedication to the franchise world and the home service space, especially. It's evident that you are also a student of the industry. You're really good at what you do, but you're constantly taking in feedback and figuring out how you can optimize your product, your service to benefit home service brands like Zoom Drain. So I thank you for that. You've been a great partner. I appreciate your time today. If you're watching this at home and you want to know what AI, voice agents, and speed to lead can do for your business, reach out to Adrian and the team at Nevermiss.ai. Adrian, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Patrick. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for having me on.